Good evening. I'm Dick Robertson, councilman, sitting in for the mayor this evening for the Lebanon Board of Works meeting. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance now.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Sure. Mayor Gentry is absent, as we said. Becky McClure.
Present.
Bill Stoner is also absent this evening. Dick Robertson.
Here.
Alan Milburn.
Present.
Thank you.
Did we have minutes for?
We do not.
We do not, so we'll save the minutes for the next meeting. Okay, we'll start with department reports. Chief Morgan.
Good afternoon, Board. Since our last meeting, the Lebanon Police Department responded to 525 calls for service. A total of 22 people were arrested for the following crimes: 2 for operating while intoxicated, 10 were wanted on a warrant, 4 for domestic battery, 4 for possession of meth, 1 for public intoxication, 1 for theft. In that same time frame, LPD took 17 crash reports and sent 1 handgun carry application off to the state for final approval. Assistant Chief Amy Dickerson participated in a mental health visits training that described what mental health visits consist of and how they may help us. CSI Colleen Brandyberry helped instruct a firearms liaison course for Indiana State Police District 22. This procedure for processing firearms seized in the field is gaining interest for its ability to build solid cases from this initial step. Sergeant James Kuntz, Officer Austin McCloskey, and Officer Nick Reynolds had completed the breath test operator recertification course. This allows them to continue to operate breath tests for intoxication. Last thing I have is Camping World was generous enough to donate some gun locks to LPD for us to give out to the public. If you have a firearm at home and would like one of these gun locks, you can stop by LPD. We keep them in the lobby. They're free.
Any questions for the chief? Any questions from the audience? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Chief Batts, Fire Department.
Good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to report in the last 2-week period, our calls for service have dropped significantly. Really have no explanation for that. Since the last Board of Public Works and Safety meeting, Lebanon Fire has made 102 emergency calls of service, logged 271 training hours, held 1 CPR certification course, performed 9 commercial pre-plans, completed 80 commercial inspections, and participated in 4 TAC meetings. On Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, the Board of Public Works and Safety will interview 12 applicants for 5 openings at LFD. On February 20th through the 24th, LFD hosted the Indiana State Certification class for Fire Officer Strategy and Tactics. The following firefighters received their FOSS certification: Lane Beeler, Spencer Kearns, Wes Bankert, Jordan Johnson, Josiah Heath, and Kyle Plummer. The week of February 13th, LFD firefighters participated in traumatic injury assessment and treatment. This training was provided by the Assistant Director of Boone County EMS, Casey Copeland. That's all I have for this evening.
Any questions for the chief? Any questions from the audience? Thanks, Chiefs. Parks Department, John Messenger.
Good evening. Prep work for the painting of both pool vessels this spring is finishing up. They're out there today, but kind of got washed away, to say the least. RL Turner will be out this week also, probably the next couple weeks, doing work on the Lazy River and the concrete work on the Red Runout Slide. 9-year-old pool, we have some things to fix up, so they'll be working on it. Couldn't do it in-house. We wanted somebody that knew what they were, that were good, and also installed the pool. We installed a metal bench at the hot pond donated by Rita Bradley in remembrance of her father, Charlie. I think Betty's on there too, but that was really a nice donation that she had. Put it in front of her big tree, or willow tree, that she had planted earlier for a lost loved one. Jonathan Llewellyn received his core license from the Indiana State Chemist after passing the exam. Aaron McMasters received a CPO license after passing his exam. That was a 3-day course, I believe. We placed large decorative rocks along the Big Four Trail, just south of here on Southeast Street, to detour the cars driving on the trail. The rock donation was made by Gregory Liticote. The old merry-go-round at Memorial Park, Dick, you might have ridden on that thing a time or two. It's broken. We're going to try and repair it, but to say the least, it's ancient. I think a lot of families, but we're going to try and fix it. We put bearing on, took us forever, about 5 years ago, to find a bearing, but we're going to try and repair that and get it going again. Again, the all-inclusive playground is very well received. It was packed. I think this week with 70-degree weather, you'll see how many people will be enjoying that facility. Our final open interview date will be Saturday, March 4th. That's this Saturday. Had a great turnout for the first round of interviews and are hopeful to meet lots of new faces on Saturday. Interviews will take place at our park office. We're hiring for lifeguards and concession stand workers, so the starting pay is $10 per hour, and applicants must be 15 years old. We have approximately 23 positions open, so that's the new crowd coming in, so hopefully we had a great turnout, as I said earlier in January, hoping for this last nice turnout so we can be a little selective. Lifeguard certifications will take place on March 11th and 12th. And April 29th and 30th. That'll be for all the new guards and some of the recertifications for our existing guards. Excited to have Thomas Ingalls teach these classes. He's an employee of the park there again, and look forward to having the new lifeguards join our team. Thomas will also be certifying a couple of our employees this Wednesday, kind of getting his feet wet at training because he just passed that certification course just recently. Our Spring Pickleball League registration will open this Wednesday, March 1st. We will be offering 3 different divisions, men's, women's, and co-ed doubles. However, for a division to be played, we must have 4 teams. Games will be played on Tuesday evenings, and the league will run for roughly 6 weeks. You can register online or give our office a call at 482-8860. Registration closes March 30th, and there again, the league starts in April, so looks like we got April weather this week, though, doesn't it?
Any questions for John?
Thank you.
Any from the audience? Thanks, Scott. Engineering Department, Kevin, he submitted a report. Did everybody get that?
Yes.
Okay. Planning Department, Ben?
Good evening, board members. Since the last Board of Works meeting, the Planning Department did complete its 77 additional building inspections, so again, it's really seeing good, strong activity there, continuing to have about 8 to 10 inspections a day, so that's really strong activity over the wintertime, and issued 44 additional building permits, with one of those being a new residential permit. So again, as I reiterate about every 2 weeks, we're still seeing very strong activity, and we're really seeing a very strong pipeline coming up this spring with additional projects coming forward, including quite a number of commercial projects. In terms of projects that are moving forward in March at the Board of Zoning Appeals or Plan Commission, we have an item related to Eli Lilly's project that'll be on the Board of Zoning Appeals agenda for next Monday evening, as well as some variances associated with school expansion projects at Harney and Perry Worth. So again, continuing to see some strong activity from those construction side. Those will both also be at the Plan Commission for development plan approval later this month as well, with anticipated start dates this summer. So again, good, strong activity there. Expecting to see Eli Lilly start moving dirt in April, and the school projects will be coming up this spring as well. On the code enforcement side, again, it's continuing to see good, strong activity, really ramping up for this spring once the grass and weeds start growing and other stuff starts getting overgrown, that's when the activity really ramps up. So really just getting prepared for spring at this point in time. So that's all I really have for this time, this meeting. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ben? No, I don't. Any questions from the audience? Thanks, Ben. Street Department, Stormwater, Dave Newell.
How's everybody doing? Don't worry about the snow Friday, we called it off. We're out fixing some potholes with winter mix still, just kind of waiting for the plants to open up so we can do more than just temporary fix with those. We, believe it or not, are still picking up Christmas trees here and there. Got a few stragglers. There's not much left on them. Guys have been pretty busy keeping the easements cleaned up. The stormwater crew's been out doing some repairs with this nice weather. We've had a few calls about leaves and some branches left over from the winter, but we're trying to remind everybody we're still kind of in winter season, so hopefully the first 2 weeks of April, I believe it is, we'll be out and we'll attack those, and we might run it 3 weeks even just to catch back up, but we'll get any leaves, so if you got any leaves and brush, just get it out there 1st of April and we'll get it picked up for you. The building's coming along really good. They're starting to actually lay out the walls inside now, so in the office areas, so it actually looks like a building instead of just a shell. So we had a good furniture meeting and for the conference rooms and stuff like that, so it's going really good. And guys have also been out picking up trash along Indianapolis Road and Perryworth Road. Those get pretty dirty themselves, so got to stay on top of those easements. That's all I got.
When are they going to start paving the new building?
For this year, as soon as the plants open. When we had our meeting over there, they said
Probably April?
Yeah, as soon as they can get the plants open. I believe they've already started some of the ADA ramps, but weather might have slowed them down. But yeah, they told us as soon as the plants open, they're going to pave.
Okay, anyone else have any questions for Dave? Audience? Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Joe LePage, Communications.
Good evening, everyone. Today, and this weather is not banner installation weather, certainly, but soon it will be, and there'll be some beautiful banners that will be going up around our downtown. Finalized the images and sent those over to John Mount over at Mount's Graphics. Wanted to have some all new. There are 32 downtown banners that we use, and we're using what's called the Hurricane kind of force banners this year, so they're a little bit more durable. They've got some mesh built in them, so the air passes through a little bit easier, as opposed to the kind of more plastic ones that kind of work as a sail. We've had issues with those in the past. So sent those over to John and look forward to bringing those through a number of quality of life events. We incorporate all the city departments this year as well, and so want to be able to just have a celebration of what our community does best, and that's just be a wonderful community. A reminder, the city event calendar continues to be a hit. It's highlighting area events citywide. It is serving as that one-stop shop for events. We check them out on social media, but we sure appreciate when folks send us details of events and things that are happening around our community. Love in Lebanon at lebanon.in.gov is the place to go to submit an event there. The Love in Lebanon podcast continues. We had the mayor's intern, JoJo Morrison, a senior over at Lebanon High School, and then most recently we talked to Molly Whitehead, the executive director of the Boone County Economic Development Corporation. She kind of gave us the lowdown on the READY grant that has been talked about by Kevin and Ben and others and John in these Board of Works reports, and so real excited about what that will mean for our community. Molly lays it out for us. Stay tuned for more episodes, and you can send us your episode ideas to the website I mentioned, or the email address I mentioned earlier. The Camp Street mural, we finalized some things with local artist Anita Gordon. I'd like to show you the images if I can. The design has been finalized with the exception of the hidden tiger paw prints that will be throughout the mural on Camp Street. Again, what you're looking at here is kind of a Van Gogh Midsummer Night's Dream theme, but it's got the Lebanon bend to it. And so you see the Skyview Theater here on the left. This is Harney Elementary, and then you have the War Memorial here, and then a shot of downtown, a couple of the buildings down there along our downtown square. And again, on the pedestrian side of things, here along the north side, there'll be hidden tiger paws for passers-by to look and find and be able to interact with as well. And so Anita is really chomping at the bit to get that going. And so a little bit later on in the Board of Works meeting, we'll be talking about road closures and things. She'd like to start painting as early as next week on the north side, which is she'll do right along the sidewalk there. Currently, there's quite a bit of graffiti. We look forward to bringing kind of some brightness into that dark space, and so looking forward to having a beautiful mural there. We're paying a little bit extra money, so she's rounding kind of the top of that, where some box trucks and things over the years that have kind of rubbed and hit, and so just not quite to that level, but at the same time, we'd like to have this kind of almost encapsulate those who drive or walk or bike underneath that overpass to be able to kind of be transported to a new and different kind of place with the addition of this mural. So looking forward to adding that to the community.
Any questions for Joe? Anyone in the audience? Thanks, Joe. Any old business? Not seeing any new business. We have a Lexi poll policy update, Major HUD, Police Department.
Bear with me just a second. I'm going to try to mirror the screen. I think that may be the easiest way to fix. I was in here with Derek earlier today, and we had it come up, and I'm not sure what else I may need to do on this end. There we go. There we go. 734. Okay, what we have here is the department starts to go through the Indiana Department of Accreditation process on there to advance forward in this process. This commission has recommended some changes to our policy to be in compliance with what their standards are. So what I have done is we have existing policies that you all have already approved on there. What I've done is I am going to give you an example of what the policy was and what the suggested change is, and usually I try to do that with just a few little notes. Now this first one I'm going to show you, however, is new content. This was a recommendation that we add this code of ethics to our existing policy manual. There's currently no code of ethics in there, so this is, like I said, new content for us. One thing I've done a couple weeks ago, I did email each of you a link to where you can access a folder where these documents are stored, so you could go back through and look at them or review them at your leisure. When you guys are ready, I'll go ahead and go on to the next document. I can go back and forth if you need more time. I said this is the first time we've done this, so I want to be able to.
Are we to approve these, Scott?
Yes.
Or
Yeah. You guys approved the existing policies that we have now. We felt that any addendums or changes or additions would need to run through you guys as well.
Well, my next question would be, should we need a hard copy of the changes first to?
I don't know. We can do that if you need. Like I said, a couple weeks ago, I emailed a link to all the documents to you guys, so I wasn't sure if you
did
preferred
you?
to have them in a hard copy or, yeah.
Okay, okay.
So you guys having a link to an electronic folder where these
Okay.
are all kept.
I'll go back and look. So you want to run through each one of them individually there and then let us approve them?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of, some of them aren't as painful as the first one, where that's a whole new policy on there. Most of them are just minor changes here or there. So
Well, you hit the highlights, then let us know you're done and we'll go from there, okay?
I will do that. Let's see. This next one is going to be collection and preservation of evidence. I worked with Colleen Brandeberry, our CSI, to go ahead and look at this, and this is another one. I made a mistake that this is a new policy that replaces, or doesn't replace, it's just new content. The next one that I worked on with her will just have some pen and ink changes too. That's wrong one. Control devices. This is where we start to get into just some minor tweaks or changes on here. You'll see at 303.4.1, patrol captain responsibilities. As this was originally written, it didn't mirror what our command structure are. We actually have 3 different patrol captains each shift, so that's just a pull from a singular patrol captain. We've added responsibilities to the firearms instructor, or our firearms armorer, to where he will control all control devices, whether it be, a firearm or a taser, or they all kind of filter out through him. He'll have oversight of those. So that's a change that you see there in the blue text. And that was the only change for this particular policy, was just adding those responsibilities to the firearms instructor and the patrol captains to plural. This was another plan here that we did not have a current document in place, so this is just a nice little short addition to our policy manual. We've always operated with specific individual emergency management plans for events such as the 4th of July. This is just a general document that would serve as a template for any of these other special events that we've generated plans for, whether it's events on the square, 4th of July parade, etc. The Explorers are a branch of the Boy Scouts of America. It's kind of like a junior police training program on there that we've participated in. We made a couple of tweaks in this program at the chief's discretion, and you'll see primarily the only change that we made is we're not allowing riders under the age of 18 anymore. If the people are going to participate as riders in a patrol car environment out there, they have to be high school graduates and between the ages of 18 and 21. Originally, you could have an Explorer that would still be in high school per se that could come out and ride a midnight shift, and it's probably not the safest environment for those. So that's Okay, this is another policy manual. This is new content for us, and it just kind of gives you the basis of why you have a policy manual. One thing I did with it was, it may make a little more sense on this one here. We had just a separate little note section. Oops, that's not the right one.
Question?
Hey, Scott,
Yes.
so when you go back to the main page, can you do that?
This page here, the policy manual, or this page?
This.
Okay.
So how will we know by looking at this which ones we talked about today?
What I've tried to do with them is, when you look and see the PDF icon on there, say for example, the Code of Ethics, new content, that is the very top page, this Policy 104. This is how it would appear in our book, minus whatever you see the blue highlights on there. If you look, there's an associated Word document with each of these PDFs. That's just a quick kind of cliff notes why these changes are made or what it is you're actually looking at. So I don't know if that
So
answers
we
your
don't
question
have,
or not.
well, I guess my question is, like, how do I look at this and know which ones were for today? Like in this A, under new business?
All of these are for today. So what we've done is the link to the folder I sent the folder is titled Pending Board of Works Approval. So
Okay.
anything in the Pending Board of Works Approval would be,
Okay, so, okay.
Yeah. The ones marked in red are the ones where you made changes, correct?
well, you'll see the PDF, you'll see changes.
Right.
Everything's got either some kind of change, or I've added, if it's new content, I've tried to put that in the title, so you know it's not necessarily change, but new content added to our manual.
Major Hood, maybe just for the record, I think if I understand the clerk treasurer's question, you're going through every one of these right now on the screen in the PDF to address either if it's new content or the changes. Is that correct?
Yes, Counselor.
Okay. And everything in the PDF then will be added to what?
Correct. If you guys approve the content that I'm showing you in the PDFs, like for example, the blue line where changes have been made, we'll show that as an approved policy, and then tomorrow morning that will be issued to the police department as an approved policy.
Okay. All
To
right.
reflect those
I was just looking
changes.
at the dates, and they were, I mean, if,
They take a little time. When they roll these out, we kind of vet through them. Like I said, some of these I have to meet with
Right.
Colleen Brandeberry, a subject matter expert, to make sure it makes sense to what we're doing. So
Okay.
sometimes the dates I'm working on and put it in here are always.
so all of these are for tonight's meeting?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I needed. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, that was a little muddled there. Okay. Property and evidence section. This is the one here. Sorry, skipped through a little quick there. Working with Colleen Brandeberry, made a couple of additions to make us in compliance with, once again, the accreditation process. Allowing cash to be inventoried and counted. Used to be in a room that had a video camera capability, with many of our people having body-worn cameras. The body-worn cameras now added as a alternative to having to be in a room that was video to do your cash counts. There was no section that involved evidence storage of jewelry, gemstones, or precious metals, so we've added a section that you see there to address those evidentiary items. And then under 80153, we took out some language that mentions a property form, because we're not using physical forms anymore. These are all maintained in a computer database, an evidence computer database, so. Transfer of evidence to crime laboratory. We do use a form. In this case, it goes to the laboratory. They just wanted to make sure whenever evidence was transferred to the laboratory, the date, time, and signatures were addressed. Previously, it was just a signature of the receiving person at the lab, so they wanted a date and time of receipt added to that. And I think that was the last one. Yep, that was the last one for that particular. Ride-alongs. This mirrors what we spoke about with the Explorer program, where it kind of closed a little gap to where we want anyone doing a ride-along with us, Explorer or not, be a high school graduate and at least 21 years of age instead of 18 as it recommended. Under the waiver language, where a parent used to be able to sign permission for a juvenile to ride, took that language out because we're not going to have juvenile riders anymore. And that was it for this particular. Update to the search and seizures. We added inventory section to this. This was a particular change here that Lexipol itself generated. This was not authored by our department, that this was a best practices change that they have made. And sometimes in some of the headings, you'll just see tweaks to the titling or how that's changed, search criteria versus search protocol. I'm not sure, with this being the first time I'm kind of presenting these to you, kind of a feeling out process, so I apologize for it being a little awkward. Traffic procedures is another one of these that is a new content policy for us. We had no existing content for this before. I won't say we had none, but it was oftentimes divided into other sections or little segments here and there in different sections. This puts traffic procedures in its own policy section. The training policy made an adjustment to the 203.4.4, the in-service training schedule. It just adds that particular section on there. New content, it's new content to this policy. It's nothing different than what we're doing now, it just kind of spells that out in policy. And we've added a section for remedial training for officers that may not be responding to the existing training. And finally, we specified training record requirements. These are all maintained now in a state database electronically. And the last one, use of force. You will see us talking about this one a lot. The state of Indiana for next year is totally revamping the use of force policy, making it mandated for every agency in the state will pretty much follow the same policy. So much like earlier this year where Chief Morgan presented you guys with an update to the pursuit policy that the state is driving, you will see this with 2024 come out in the use of force, and it's going to be very involved, just to kind of give you a heads up ahead of time, because they will go through every potential use of force tactic to make sure that it's vetted by the state, that we've got instructors that are certified to teach that, so it's going to be kind of a detailed process. Scroll ahead to the change here. Trying to remove gender references in the pronouns on some of these, so you'll see he, she, the individual. Removed a reference to a mental health condition, excited delirium. I don't know if that's not an acceptable term to use anymore for some of that, so it just strikes the term excited delirium from policy. And it changes the requirement for how often we train on use of force. Specifies from periodic to semi-annual. It's not a policy or not anything different than we're doing now. Generally, in most cases, at a bare minimum, we're offering some kind of use of force training, if not monthly, at a minimum, it's quarterly, so it's not really having any impact on us. And like we mentioned with the training policy, some additional training requirements. So we're saying semi-annual now in policy versus periodic. Okay. And specifying that each of the shift captains are to review use of force and develop a report to further drive how we train, you know, lessons that we've learned from each of those encounters. And I know that was kind of a mess, so pending any questions, or we can work on this, how to better do it moving forward.
Major Head, does all the officers get a copy of this or do they have to
Yes.
read this before they come in?
What'll happen is, say, for example, these policies are approved now. I will go in and update those policies in the system tomorrow, and with a new updated policy, it will issue the officer that, hey, the use of force policy has been updated, and you need to review it. And then what we do with each of the captains is we meet with them monthly and say, hey, such and such is still behind on, they haven't acknowledged these policy or haven't done their trainings in this month, so there's a little bit of feedback. They'll get an email notification, you have this training, and if it's not done in a month, then the captains will start chasing after them. So.
Scott, am I correct that you're asking us then to approve the addition of 5 new policies to the manual?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
also then to approve the 6 revisions, 6 policies.
6 tweaks in there.
Revisions to 6 policies also to be.
That's correct.
I will entertain a motion to approve the policy changes for the police department.
Policy decisions, policy revisions and additions.
We have a motion to approve the additions to the Lebanon Police Department policy. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the street closure request for the Camp Street Memorial. Joe?
Good evening, everyone, again. Want to see the pretty pictures again, or we're just going to talk about road closures? Happy to show it if need be. After texting with the artist, Anita Gordon, Lebanon resident, you may have seen some of her tigers around town. The one at Seashore is hers, and then the one at the street department on Lafayette Avenue is hers. Very talented young lady, does a lot of the plein air painting at our city market as well. But anyway, she is chomping at the bit, as I mentioned earlier, to get started. She wants to start on the pedestrian portion. Coming up Mondays and Wednesdays are her days to paint. And so she is hoping to knock out the north section, no street closure needed, this coming week. So she'd like to get going this week if possible, and wrapping up the north side, again, pedestrian area, not any road closures needed. She is hoping, and in talking with Dave, during the week works better for the street department guys as well to put out signage and things, because traffic would need to be reduced to 1 lane as she has the lift out there and is doing her work under that overpass on Camp Street. So she is tentatively looking at April 13th and 15th and 20th and 22nd. And in talking with Dave, we thought after the elementary school, Harney Elementary is right there, so potentially we'd like to start at 8:30 a.m. and wrap things up by 2:30 p.m. So utilizing that window to paint while school is in session, potentially having the kiddos come over and check out the progress during the course of things, but not get in the way when it comes to drop off or pick up. That could just get nuts, and so don't want to do that. And so conversing with Dave, conversing with Anita, we felt like that 8:30 to 2:30 window, April 13th, 15th, 20th, 22nd would be beneficial. As we've done in previous murals, there will be a community creation day. That date hasn't been set yet, but when that happens, come before you again, because chances are that'll be on a Saturday and or Sunday to get the public out there and have them be able to paint some of the mural and do their thing and have some snacks and do all those things that we've done in previous versions of murals that have been around the city, so.
Is that 4 days, or is that just?
Yeah, 4 days.
13th through the 15th.
Well, it's Monday and Wednesday, so Monday the 13th, Wednesday the 15th, and then we go a week later over 20th, 22nd, that Monday and Wednesday again.
Yep.
Nothing on Tuesday, just those 2 days, 4 total for the south side. Again, there's no area there for pedestrians to walk, and so she would get to.
April 13th is a Thursday, and the 15th is a Saturday.
Let me look at my. I'm going by what she texted me, I'm sorry, I should have looked at that earlier. Well, I'm going to take creative licensing then, and so if she's painting this next week, then,
March 13th.
I'm going to say, let's say the 3rd, and the 5th, the 10th, and the 12th.
Did you mean March
March or
13th and 15th? Because
I meant
March
I meant March.
Monday and Wednesday. You said April.
You said April.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, hello. Yes, March is what we're talking about here. So this week and next,
March
13th,
5th.
15th, forgive me at home. 13th, 15th, 20th, 22nd of the month of March.
I'm assuming you've worked it all out with Dave in the street department and police chief and so forth?
Talked to Dave earlier, didn't talk to Chief Morgan just yet.
I'll be using the bridge there to run any fire trucks under, so I don't think he has to worry about that, so. Have you coordinated all the activities there with them?
With the street department, yes, I can get with Chief Morgan and get a heads up as well.
Okay.
Happy to do that for the month of March.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to road closure then.
I'll make a motion to approve the street closure request for Camp Street mural work, March 13th and 15th, 20th and 22nd, from 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., as presented.
We have a motion to close Camp Street for a mural work. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Ayes have it.
All right.
Have fun.
Thank you.
Oh, the Skyview was red and white. The sign?
Red and white, because we haven't gotten a definitive, because in the previous iterations we've had, and we've talked to a number of people, the sky view, similar to the Mel's Drive-In, had the light blue, that you were saying there's a red accent?
I think it was red and had white letters, Skyview, then a white underneath with the logo, or not logo, but where they put whatever the picture or movie was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll send that to the artist.
He's old enough to remember.
Is it? Okay,
Well, I'm pretty sure it was red and white.
okay, gotcha.
Okay, then it covers the new business claims.
I'll make a motion, we approve the claims.
We have a motion to pay claims, or a second? We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. I need one more motion.
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion adjourned. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next Board of Works meeting will be on Monday, March 13th at 5:15? 5:30, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
5:30. See you then.
All right.